everyone, welcome to my next basics video. If you're new here, I post dance basics and pole information that you might find interesting on your journey, and I specialize in exotics. So if that's something that you're looking to get into, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. So as you might be able to tell if you've watched some of my previous videos, the aesthetic in here is a little bit different. I got kind of bored with the old layout, and this brightens up the room a lot, having this like light blue gray color, and there's less stuff going on except for that area. It's a process. But if you don't care about that, I guess I'll get into the video. Today I'm going to be talking about leg waves. I've brought them up in basically every other video that I've done, so I figured I would go through the mechanics of it for you, all the different variations of leg waves you can do. Hopefully I will be able to effectively do them, and I'm well aware that there are some types of leg waves that during quarantine I may not be able to do because my fitness has slid a bit, as I'm sure is the case for everyone. You can do leg waves a variety of ways. You can do them on the ground, on your back. You can do them kneeling, you can do them standing up, you can do them up the pole, you can do them upside down up the pole. There's so many different ways that you can do them, and they always look really good. Although I will go over the ones that look better for exotic and ones that are better for strength moves or like cool choreography, not necessarily sexy. Because contrary to popular belief, there is a difference. So starting on our backs with our legs up at 90, the mechanics of this type of leg wave is moving one leg down towards the ground straight and then bending it to bring it back up. So you can do that with your toes pointed like I just showed, or you can do a slightly different variation where you end up letting your ankles kind of go with it. This one's a little bit cooler for cooler choreography, and it can also look good in an exotic piece. So next up is this type. I'm not sure if it has a name, so you want to work through the sickle on the way down and the wing on the way up with your ankles, and you want to give a slight bend in your knee on the way down and then straighten them to really perfect this move. Another one on your back is this one. So this one involves moving your hips side to side, swinging that leg down straight and then bending it back up. This style is more well suited to cool choreographies and less so exotic. So this next one, you're going to be on your side and you're going to be rolling over your hip, kind of in this motion. So what's going to end up happening is with your hips, you can kind of see what's going on there. And then here's the full movement. So it's like you're walking on your side on the ground. So here's it on the other side, and close up like this, it can look a little awkward, but this one looks really good in cool choreography, and it can look good used sparingly in an exotic routine. So you're going to want to be on one knee and then have your other leg straight out to the side, and then you're going to use a clock motion to straight leg that one down behind you and then bend it up through the side. Something to keep in mind with this is remembering to tuck that in when you bend your knee to bring it back up again. So what that looks like is there's a bit of an arch as you pull that leg back and then you tuck it in. Arch, tuck. Here's another knee up leg wave. So the only difference between this one and on the ground is that you are upright and you can have that leg straight facing forward as opposed to purely out to the side. To give it a little more dramatic, you can push this one in reverse too. It's really up to you. It's mostly a filler move, and it can look sexy and it can look cool. So good for both. So moving upright, we have this one where you flex on the way back, point on the way through, remembering to bend your knees like you would during a normal walk, or you could do it pointed all the way through. You can also do this one towards the front, which works through a wing and a sickle, more so in a cool routine. So this next one I love doing in exotic routines. You do a couple of those single leg waves and then bring that leg up the pole like this, swish it back straight, and then bend it forward. So I'm going to show you a different angle. So you're moving through those hips, bending back, pointing straight. So you want to make sure that your body is towards the side because you want that dramatic angle, and you know I love me an angle. So another one you can do upright is if you put your back towards the pole, step out a few, put your arms in a position where you feel safe. Then you're going to do a little développé, so bend up, straight down, and you can work through those knees and those hips to really get that dramatic angle. So next up is up the pole a little bit, whatever grip is comfy, just doing a simple walk. So this one is especially good when you have your toes pointed, or again, like on the ground, you can do a little bit of a flex if you're doing a cooler choreography. When you're doing this move in a split or twisted grip, you are more likely to spin around the pole like that. And if you can get that spin working for you, doing this while your pole is on spin can look really good, just walking around the pole on air. So moving upside down the pole here in a helicopter, you can do that same one that's on the ground. So you bend towards your shoulder, moving your hips, and then straighten it back up. This is the same mechanics you would use in an Aisha position as well as a handstand position. So bend down, straighten up. I'm not super strong in these positions right now because I haven't worked out that much. So this is the best I can do as an example. So even on a strong day, my shoulder mount is pretty weak, so I'm doing an on the floor variation. I hurt my shoulder, so I have to adjust a little bit. So same thing, knees to the shoulder, straighten on the way back. Looks good in cool choreography. If you're really strong in your shoulder mount, you can also act like we did on our backs and do that little air walk, but in a aerial shoulder mount position. So I'm going to be doing this one from a handstand position, but you can do it in an Aisha or what I was talking about with that shoulder mount position with your hips further away. So you can do little air walks like this, and if you're close to your ceiling, it looks really good in any exotic or cool routine you can think of. So those are all the leg waves that I do or I see regularly. Another thing that I want to point out with leg waves is it's super important to keep the repetitions in mind. To me, leg waves look really good, but they can easily be overdone. If you're creating a piece or improvising, try to keep in mind that after 3 to 4 leg waves, it can look obvious that you're finding the next move to do. And like I talked about in a previous video, like with body waves, if you do it more than 3 to 4 times, it can signify to the audience that you either are inexperienced in choreography or that you are currently improvising, which is not something you want someone to know when you are improvising successfully. So try to limit leg waves in a row. You can do more than this in your piece total, but try to keep in mind that between 3 and 4 leg waves in a row is probably where your limit should be. But if you're doing individual legs, keep in mind that 2 on each side is probably best, especially if you want to place the emphasis on the aesthetic value or if you're doing an exotic piece, the sexuality. So that's all I had today. If you have any questions or if you have a different leg wave that you had hoped I had gone over, please drop a comment below and I will try to address it in a following video. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. I really appreciate it. So you should subscribe if for no other reason, my dog in the background, and to see how much cleaning I get done before next week with this area. So unless you guys have any questions, I will see you Tuesday.